Yes, this works. Awesome. Hi, welcome everybody. So good to see you all. I want to thank Fort Lee High School and Senator Bob Menendez for hosting the second annual Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Celebration. And yes, if you're wondering, thank you. Yes, round of applause. This is an important month. And if you're wondering, yes, I am Asian. And if you haven't guessed by my name, Ernabel, I am Filipino American. Yeah, ooh, Filipinos in the house. So we're going to start our celebration with the Bergen County Sheriff's Honor Guard procession, and I would like to welcome the Girl Scout Troop 98546 to the stage. So can everyone please stand for the presentation of colors by the Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, up hands, hook. Right shoulder, hook. Forward, hook. Left, 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 right, left. Mark time, hook. Left, left. Honor Guard, hook. Left, face.
Now, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, the Girl Scouts.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, it is my honor to introduce Aya Ishida, who will perform the national anthem. Aya, a Japan-born, New York City-based vocalist and composer, moved to the big city to pursue a jazz vocal performance degree where she developed her sound, and style. Aya graduated from the City College of New York and released her debut album, Day to Day, produced by Grammy Award-winning saxophonist Wayne Oscofrey. The album highlights the pinnacle of Aya's experience as an artist and her effortless pursuit of achieving her dreams in New York City. Today, Aya regularly performs with a diverse group of musicians, from composing and performing jazz for audiences throughout Asia, in Japan, and in Taiwan. Please welcome Aya Ishida.
Honor Guard, present, hook.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam, who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets let ground, the bombs bursting in air gave Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Shoulder, hook.
So please remain standing for the retirement.
Honor guard. Forward, hook. Left, go, 3, 4, left, go, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, go left, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, go left, go left, go left, right over left.
Please post the colors.
Peace.
Thank you to the Bergen County Honor Guards. So before I introduce our first speaker today, I did want to welcome some notable guests who have joined us today, including Assemblyman Stanley, Fort Lee Councilman Peter Sue, Demarest, Councilman David Jiang, and Assemblywoman Ellen Park. Thank you for joining our celebration today. So our first speaker, I'd like to introduce the Fort Lee Schools Superintendent, Robert Kravis, who recently graduated from Seton Hall University with a doctorate in educational leadership and administration, and he will deliver today's welcome message. Bob Kravitz is a nationally recognized educator and consultant who previously served as superintendent of school in Inglewood and was successful in introducing a new student information system, realigned their curriculum, and created a far-reaching plan to work with local universities to create pathway programs in the school system. Please welcome School Superintendent Robert Kravitz.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Fort Lee High School. My name is Dr. Robert Kravitz. I'm also a very proud Bergenfield resident today, so I thank you for recognizing our day. I'm the Superintendent of Schools in Fort Lee, and today we are fortunate enough to welcome Senator Bob Menendez, a fellow St. Peter's alum as well, to our school. Today, with Senator Menendez on our stage and before us, we recognize the important contributions of Asian American and Pacific Islanders to American history. As a school leader in a district with such a diverse population, I can think of no better place in Bergen County or even in the state of New Jersey for the senator to speak about this great topic and recognize such great individuals. We are proud to have you here, Senator, and appreciate your selection of our district for this great event. All of us in Fort Lee, my Board of Education, our children, our staff members, everyone, embrace your dedication and hard work to recognize AAPI in the history of our great nation. Again, a big thank you for making Fort Lee the place to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. So next up, we have our first performance, the Filipino School of New York and New Jersey. They were founded in 2008, and their mission has been to encourage the preservation of the Philippine and Filipino-American history, culture, tradition, values, and language. And this is so important. When I was a teenager, I also belonged to a Filipino dance troupe when I was growing up. The school opens its doors to students of all ages, no matter their race or religion, and their activities are intended to provide a positive and enriching learning experience in the classroom and the community. So please welcome the Filipino School of New York and New Jersey. Thank you again to the New York, New Jersey School of Dance, Filipino School of Dance, and I have to say, I actually performed one of these dances, and it's actually a little emotional because I'm sure if I were to talk to my 15-year-old self and say, one day you're going to be emceeing a big AAPI event with Senator Menendez, my 15-year-old self would say, no way. So this is like really, really heartwarming for me to be a part of. And speaking of our host, right? It is now my honor to introduce the host of today's event, the senior U.S. Senator from New Jersey, Bob Menendez. Now, I do have some stuff to say about him before he comes up here. Senator Menendez is a quintessential, American dream story. He is the son of Cuban immigrants, and he grew up in a tenement building in Union City. He began his public service career as the youngest member of his hometown school board, and then became the first Hispanic mayor of the city. In 1988, he began serving in the state's assembly and broke new barriers when he was elected as the first Latino in the New Jersey State Senate back in 1990. Yes, no, that does deserve applause. He is a role model. Since 1993, he has served in Congress, first representing the 13th District in the House of Representatives, and then ascending to the Senate in 2006. In the 118th Congress, he serves as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at a time when global affairs have increasingly dramatic impact on our economy here at home. He also serves as senior member of the Senate Banking and Housing and Urban Development Committee and the Senate Finance Committee with jurisdiction over many domestic issues like healthcare, affordable housing, and consumer protections. Senator Menendez has earned a national reputation for his international leadership in the Senate, which pairs with his longtime reputation as a fighter for New Jersey families. A product of New Jersey's public schools and the first in his family to graduate from college, St. Peter's, Senator Menendez learned early on the importance of education and standing up for what's right, no matter how powerful the opposition. Over the years, he has championed and brought billions of dollars in federal investment for New Jersey transportation, infrastructure, affordable housing, healthcare investments, education, and for seniors and veterans, amongst many other vital services. Most recently, he was instrumental in passing the American Rescue Plan and the bipartisan infrastructure law to bring critical infrastructure improvements and thousands of good paying jobs to New Jersey. He also played a critical role in passing the Inflation Reduction Act, which is making important investments in our environment, and which, thanks to Senator Menendez's smoothing provision, the out-of-pocket costs for prescription drugs for Medicare beneficiaries that was capped at $2,000 annually. And most importantly, the per month out-of-pocket cost for insulin was capped at $35. Yeah. Senator Menendez is a resident of Englewood Cliffs, where he lives with his wife Nadine. He's the father of 2 children, Alicia and Robert Jr., and the proud grandfather of Evangelina, Ophelia, Olivia, and Robert Alexander. It was the second page. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Senator Bob Menendez.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our second annual AAPI celebration, and let me thank Ernabelle for that gracious introduction. She delivered it just like I wrote it for her, so that's just a joke. But in any event, I truly appreciate her being our mistress of ceremony. I think you all know, but Ernabelle is a Emmy Award-winning broadcaster and journalism educator, and she ultimately teaches at St. Peter's University as a full professor. So we're thrilled to have her as our mistress of ceremony. So let's give her a round of applause for the work she's doing for us. We are thrilled to be here. We thank the superintendent and the Board of Education of Fort Lee for hosting us at Fort Lee High School. We move around and when we do this, but we were thinking about where could we do it this year, and this is such a great school system who has, as the superintendent said, incredible diversity and has the good judgment to have the St. Peter's University superintendent of schools. So in any event, we thank the school district for hosting us. We thank the Bergen County Sheriff's Office for the presentation of the colors. We love the Girl Scouts, the Brownies who were with us, doing an extraordinary job. Thank you. We appreciated very much the voice of Aya in her rendition of the national anthem, and to the Filipino School of New York and New Jersey for their performance. And there's a couple of performances you're going to see KMZ and Culture Cool, among others. I think we're going to have a wonderful day, as well as a recognition of some individuals and organizations that deserve recognition. I want to start off by thanking all of you for being here, for choosing to celebrate with us the immense contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in our state, and certainly to all the distinguished guests, our elected officials who are here as well, and our community leaders and honorees. Thank you for the work that inspires us, that uplifts us, as we strive to make New Jersey the greatest state to live, work, and raise a family. Each May, we come together to recognize the successive generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who have enriched our country throughout history. With more than 22 million individuals in America, tracing their roots to more than 20 countries, the AAPI community is an integral part of our nation's tapestry. Asian American history and culture is American history and culture, which is why last year my office put together this event to honor the richness and diversity of the AAPI New Jersey community. We enjoyed musical performances, as we will today, heard from powerful trailblazers, celebrated the richness and depth of the AAPI experience. But of all the reviews and feedback that we got from that first celebration, of all of the news articles and wrap-ups that were written afterward, the best comment that I heard was from one of the attendees. They said, quote, "We finally have an event that highlights us." And I've been thinking about that as I was thinking about what to speak about today. I kept turning that phrase over and over in my head. In one simple sentence, we see the prime reason for continuing to make space and celebrate events during AAPI Heritage Month. In one simple sentence, we see the work that remains to be done as we extend the promise of this country to every member of the community. For too long, the AAPI community has been relegated to the periphery, typecast in movies and TV, cast aside with stereotypes, labeled sometimes with harmful preconceived notions and the misguided myth of a model minority. No more. Today, we're here to say loudly and with one united voice that the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is here, it is here to stay, and we're going to cherish it for a very long time. And that moment isn't some moment in the future, it's right now. You can ignore them at your own peril, you can reject them at your own risk, but you cannot deny their power and their influence any longer. After all, when the Oscar for Best Picture goes to the movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, when Natu Natu wins Best Original Song, when the most watched show in Netflix history is Squid Game, when it's time to reassess the old ways of thinking. To be sure, one movie, one song, or one show alone doesn't mean that the fight is over and our battles are won. But if we recognize that representation can change hearts and minds, if we recognize that the community has been contributing to our country since its earliest days, then piece by piece, slowly but surely, we can start to peel back the barriers on the road to progress. Consider all of the victories that we have celebrated since the last time we came together last year. In June of last year, the popular TV show Miss Marvel debuted, featuring a 16-year-old Pakistani American from Jersey City as its protagonist. In August, President Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act, a bill that will turbocharge our domestic manufacturing while better securing supply chains for companies operating in Taiwan. Last fall, with the start of the new school year, New Jersey became the second state in the nation to require AAPI history be taught as part of our curriculum. And earlier this year, President Biden was recognized for nominating Julie Su to lead the Department of Labor. She is an extremely qualified candidate who deserves our full support and speedy confirmation vote in the Senate. She will be the first Asian American in the President's cabinet, and I look forward to voting for her when the Senate takes up her nomination. Her historic nomination goes hand in hand with 19 AAPI federal judges who have been nominated and confirmed under the Biden administration, an all-time high. And for the sports fans who are here, who can forget the recent HBO documentary, 38 at the Garden, which documented the rise of Jeremy Lin and his Linsanity phenomenon. What else can be said about Naomi Osaka, a 4-time Grand Slam champion who has used her platform to promote social change? And who can deny that Shohei Ohtani is doing things on a baseball diamond that haven't been seen since the days of Babe Ruth? In just the past 2 weeks, President Biden, and I'm thrilled to have met with both of them, President Biden has welcomed the leaders of both the Philippines and South Korea to the White House. In the case of South Korea, at a state dinner for President Yoon, he strengthened the ties between our two nations with his rousing rendition of American Pie. He sang it pretty well, too. I miss American Pie. Go my Chevy to the land of the land. These are just a few of the accomplishments, his song, not mine, and highlights that we've seen over the past year. And sometimes we miss sight of all of the things that happen. We miss sight of the importance of it. But it's really important for the community to recognize these accomplishments and the recognition of the community by those who are in power. There are so many things to be proud of, so many proof points of success, that to list them all would take us the rest of the afternoon. Right here in New Jersey, we have a number of trailblazers to celebrate, including Mayor Arvin Amatario of Bergenfield, who's leading the way on Filipino-American representation in the Garden State. So make no mistake, the AAPI community is the fastest growing minority in the United States. By 2060, their population is projected to reach 46 million. With these growing numbers will come increased purchasing power, right now estimated at more than $500 billion, as well as greater political clout as it becomes a decisive demographic for candidates across our country. So those are the successes that we celebrate and we acknowledge here. But we also acknowledge that there is work that still lies ahead. As we all know, the AAPI community has come to face to face with the ugly scourge of racism and bigotry as it navigates the challenges of today. Be it hateful attacks on Sikh Americans, or the horrific Atlanta spa attack, or the shooting in Monterey Park, California that occurred on the Lunar New Year Eve, Asian Americans have been targeted simply for who they are as a community. In 2020, an organization called Stop AAPI Hate was founded to combat rising prejudice, discrimination, and hate crimes. Last October, they published a report about how political rhetoric has inflamed this tide of anti-Asian scapegoating. It's a common thread shared by many immigrant communities, including Latinos, who have been unfairly blamed and dehumanized during moments of crisis. But particularly for the AAPI community, it's never been more important to root out hate wherever it exists and stop it in its tracks. In a 2-year span between 2020 and 2022, Stop AAPI Hate tallied more than 11,000 reports of anti-Asian hate. A recent national survey found that 4 in 5 Asian Americans don't feel like they completely belong in the United States, with more than half of the respondents saying that they don't feel safe in public places. These stark findings, combined with how fear and loneliness can affect mental health, should alarm us all. Of further concern is a report from 2021 revealing that AAPI representatives are the least likely to hold elected office. At least here in New Jersey, we're making a difference in that, Assemblywoman. We are making council people, we are making a difference in that regard. But nationally, that is also something that should alarm us. They make up less than 1% of all elected leaders across all levels of government, despite accounting for 6% of the population. So these are appalling numbers. And while I'm proud to serve alongside incredible champions like Mazie Hirono and Tammy Duckworth in the Senate, We must do more to throw open the doors of opportunities for others to walk through them. After all, each of us has a role in elevating stories of Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Each of us, in every neighborhood and community, has a role to play in stopping stopping the hate, but also in shopping local, in learning history, and in providing supportive spaces that celebrate the AAPI Americans every single day. To ignore these statistics, to do nothing in the face of this call to action goes against everything that this country stands for. And as your United States Senator, I have made it my life's work to protect vulnerable communities when they need it the most. A number of years ago, when I was a young legislator in the New Jersey State Assembly, I authored a measure called the New Jersey Bias Crime Law. It came after Indian Americans who wore a bindi on their foreheads were targeted in several instances by white supremacists, often beating them, and in one tragic case, killing one person in New Jersey. The Indian American community came to see me as a state legislator and said, "We are being hurt, we're being assaulted, we need your help. What can you do?" It took me 3 years, but we eventually passed in New Jersey what is the first bias crime law in the nation at that time. That important legislation increased penalties for crimes committed on the basis of race, religion, and became the model for the federal hate crimes law that we now have as law in the nation. But it's not just about enacting and enforcing against hate crimes. We also have a responsibility to establish places of support, including an Asian American History and Cultural Museum in our nation's capital. I've been supportive of efforts to make this museum a reality, as well as a museum that celebrates American women and Latinos. Why? Because it's my firm belief that if you can see it, you can be it. When visitors come to Washington, D.C., they should be able to walk on the National Mall and visit museums that tell the unvarnished truth. They should learn about the painful moments of our past, the treatment of Native Hawaiians and Filipinos in the 19th century, the racist immigration quotas enacted by the Chinese Exclusion Act, and the horrific stories of Japanese American internment during World War II. But they should also learn about the resilience of Americans like Fred Korematsu, who fought back against his government when they tried to strip his rights. They should learn the stories of resilient refugees who fled brutal regimes in Cambodia and Vietnam, laying down roots in America that have been built over the last 50 years. In short, visitors to Washington should learn about the full spectrum of the American experience. It can only be told by a museum with cultural competence and affinity. That is why I fight so hard for these museums to become a reality, and why we'll continue to advocate for them till they are finally built. Because the answer to not feeling accepted is to feel heard and seen. Because the solution to the anxiety felt by some Asian Americans in public will only be reduced by a greater collective appreciation of their lives. And that is why we will continue to hold these AAPI celebrations for years to come. Because the day will come hopefully in the near future, where our main takeaway from an event like this is not we finally have an event that highlights us, but rather we deserve to have an event because we belong. Let me thank you all for being here. Let me thank you for the incredible contributions you provide to our state and to our nation. God bless the AAPI community, and I look forward to celebrating with you next year.
Thank you again, Bob Menendez, and for hosting this celebration, because, right, AAPI is invisible no more. So I'm actually really excited about this next performance because I am a K-pop addict. I love Blackpink, and I know if you could hook me up with some tickets, we will be friends forever. And I am also addicted to K-dramas. So it is my honor to introduce our second performance, delivered by KMZ. They are a group of young Korean women pop performers and they are part of AAYC, the Asian American Youth Council, and they were actually banded together specifically to perform at this event today. Yeah, that's very K-pop, right? They were soon contacted by Governor Murphy's office, in fact, and they performed at their AAPI celebration earlier this month. So please welcome to the stage, KMZ.
Cause I ain't the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kick out, kick the drum, roll along like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I get my ping pong. Kiss, hey, hey, Cajun baseball, I'm ready. Sweet as my honey, let this beach change like money. This go all alone, I need to know, I'm good to go. I'm down on, you know I go on. So let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So if we bring down fire, set the night light. Shining through the city with a little funky sound. Light it up, light dynamite. Whoa.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't see me behind the curtain because I was bopping. But KMZ, let's hear it again for them. I can't believe it. They were just banded together. So now I'd actually like to bring back Senator Menendez to the stage. He is going to introduce our keynote speaker, the Mayor of Bergenfield, Mario Arvin Amatorio, and present the first honorary award.
All right. After that performance, my wife said that's Asian Shakira, so I've said it many times before, but as a former mayor myself, I believe that probably that is the most difficult job in public service. Everyone knows the mayor. Everybody's got an opinion that they want to share with the mayor. And everyone's ready, willing, and able to let him know what those opinions are. But despite being the most difficult job, it's also the most rewarding. As a mayor, you're entrusted by your community to serve and give back, to be the voice for the voiceless, to empower residents to do the same. When I was elected mayor of Union City, I was the first Latino to ever assume the leadership of any city in the state, something that has kept me going as we bring down barriers and elevate the needs of the most vulnerable. Our next honoree has been blazing his own trail in this regard, and I just want to warn you, Mayor, that if you work hard enough, you could end up in the United States Senate as well, so it's possible, right? Every single day, Mayor Arvin Amatorio creates spaces to highlight the history, culture, and impact of the AAPI community in our state and in the United States. He understands the importance of service as the son of 2 public school teachers who instilled in him the importance of giving back at a young age. To those whom much is given, much is expected, which is why, as the second mayor of Filipino descent in Bergenfield's history, he's leading the way for the next generation of public service. So, Mayor, I know that when 5,000 Filipinos in your town look at City Hall, they see themselves represented, and they see themselves heard. They see the surest example that if you reach for your highest potential, anything is possible. You're a testament to the value of hard work and the power of pursuing the American dream. For this and for the many accomplishments you've had in office, for inspiring our North Jersey community as they raise their voices in advocacy, it's my honor to present to you the Excellence in Public Service Award and to welcome you on the stage to be our keynote speaker, Mayor Arvin Amatorio.
Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang tanghali po to my fellow Filipinos in the audience. And thank you, Senator Menendez, for this great honor and for sharing this momentous occasion with us, together with our friends and family in the Asian, American, and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders. I also would like to acknowledge Senator Menendez's staff and your team for your hard work in preparing for this event. And I also express my appreciation to the Fort Lee High School for hosting this event, and to my fellow AAPI who joined in celebrating with us today. Thank you very much to all of you. I would like also to acknowledge my family who are here with me on this occasion. My wife, Ilya, she's in the audience. They are my greatest source of inspiration, and to my son, Lance, and also to my son, Andrew. Thank you for always supporting me. I would like also to acknowledge the 2 members of the Bergenfield Council, Council President Mark Pascual and Councilman Beahuna. I've seen the Philippine Nurses Association. Thank you very much. I know that you will be awarded also this afternoon. the Philippine Nurses Association have been a strong partner of Bergenfield, especially during the time of the pandemic when they were volunteering and risking their safety all throughout the years that they've been supporting me. Thank you very much. And I enjoy the cultural show, especially of the kids and the high school that performed a while ago. So thank you very much. They're so awesome, and I hope we could invite you also in Bergenfield someday. And I think the dedication of the kids and the parents in ensuring that they bring the culture and heritage of your native lands in America. So this will remind us of what we had in the country of origin. And also I'm humbled to share the room with our esteemed and distinguished Senator Bob Menendez, whose life story is similar to many of us here today. He was son of an immigrant parents with a humble beginning, whose hard work and aspiration made him of what he is today. And this month, the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders in a nation celebrate the diversity and culture, the extensive achievement, and the extraordinary contributions of the AAPI, who motivated by the promise of unlimited possibilities. They toured in this foreign land and began a new home. I began my journey in the United States 20 years ago from the Philippines. I had my uncertainties, but the prospect of promise and the exceptionalism of our country persuaded me to choose this my home. I am thankful and proud for being allowed to serve in my community and was elected councilman for 2 terms and elected mayor of Bergenfield, New Jersey. The pandemic came shortly after I was sworn in January of 2020. It was one of the most challenging experiences I had. When I get daily reports about the deaths in my community, when I have families that look for food to bring to their kids, and when people were scared for their future, I had to show strength and summon all my courage to convince our people that everything would be all right. In Bergenfield, we are proud of many things we've done for the first time. We strengthened diversity and inclusivity, and we managed to raise flags of various nationalities. We embraced the LGBTQI and celebrated Pride Month in June. We appointed the first female chief of police in Bergen County. We appointed the first Muslim police chief in the county and second in the state. And despite all the negativity and rhetoric we might see in the news, the American dream is alive and well in Bergenfield. And yesterday, in a meeting with our school superintendent and retired U.S. Army Major General Antonio Taguba, I had the opportunity to discuss the implementation of a school curriculum that teaches the vital role and the shared sacrifices of the Filipino-American soldiers during the World War II. We are proud in Bergenfield to have introduced this curriculum in history classes this school year, the first ever in U.S. mainland. And I thank Senator Menendez for speaking passionately to recognize the sacrifices of the Filipino veterans of World War II and to provide the benefits they deserve. More than 10 years ago, there were about 18,000 living Filipino soldiers out of the 260,000 Filipino soldiers that fought alongside the Americans in World War II. It took years to pass the legislation, and it needed the commitment and activism and support of many great leaders in the Senate and in the House. And Senator Menendez was one of those that stood up and support the legislation. Thank you, Senator. We all know the critical contribution of AAPI in America. We all know that we have many achievers and success stories across our diverse communities. The perfect example is Vice President Kamala Harris, a daughter of a successful immigrant from India, whose account of her mother raising her and instilling the values of hard work and determination. The AAPI are now composed of a record 23.5 million in the United States, the fastest growing racial group. In New Jersey alone, we have around 1 million that are of Asian descent, or 10% of the state's population. And we are doing better here in Bergen County, where the Asian population is 20%. And it is projected that the Asian population will increase by 46 million by 2060. But the history of the Asian population is peppered, as mentioned by Senator Menendez, with struggles and varied acts of racism and bigotry. From the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, the incarceration of the Japanese Americans during the World War II, and the many instances of violence towards Asian Americans at the present times. The latest was the spike in the hate crimes against Asian Americans that started during the pandemic. And as a minority, I'm sure you can relate to always being considered a perpetual immigrant. Many of us here have had accounts of being stereotyped or profiled. And I remember years back when I was starting my practice as an immigration attorney, and as I was entering the lobby of the immigration court in Newark, New Jersey, it was packed with many minorities of various ethnic backgrounds. There were Caucasians mostly wearing suits and ties, and presumably they were immigration attorneys representing clients in the immigration court. I was walking to pass the security officer in the room to check in for my client's court case when I was stopped by a security officer who was white. And he said, "Do you have a lawyer?" In a commanding voice. I responded calmly but with firmness, "I am the lawyer," I said. He looked at me again and said, "No, I was asking you, do you have a lawyer?" And I said also, "I am the lawyer." And at the time, I took off my wallet and showed my identification, my attorney ID, showing that I'm an attorney. And I pointed, my client is back there from Eastern Europe, and he was white. And he was visibly embarrassed and confused that he stereotyped me and profiled me that I couldn't be a lawyer because those are the minorities that are on the process of being deported from the United States. But I accept his apology and I move on. And this is happening in America, whether purposely or unintentionally. And this story reminds me that we are constantly profiled or stereotyped, and at all times, or many times, we need to speak out about our roles and place in our daily lives. And this is where I want to emphasize to our audience here that belongs to the AAPI. While many Asian Americans have achieved a middle-class status economically, and many are successful in their chosen fields, a remarkable account of us are still muted and lack the courage to speak out, even against our own experiences of violence and bias. And from a cultural perspective, Asians are taught to always follow the path of less resistance. We'd rather keep quiet avoid trouble, and move on with our lives. But to paraphrase, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for a good man to do nothing. And I leave this challenge to all of us here to speak out amid bias, violence, and violence. Lead and run for public office. If you can, or join community organizations and town committees, continue to excel in private and public service, and break barriers to prove that our country is one of the endless possibilities. And perform, the last but not the least, perform your most sacred obligation and right. Please do vote and let your voice heard. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. What an inspirational speech, and I commend your town for being the first to mandate the teaching of the Filipino-American military veterans' history. My family, in fact, I come from a long line of U.S. military veterans. My grandfather served in the U.S. Army, my dad was U.S. Air Force, and my brother was U.S. Marine. So, but let's talk, because I think this is a good story for my show, Asian American Life on CUNY TV, Channel 75. Okay, so, I digress. So, ready for our third performer? Yeah. Yes, right? Yes. So it is my honor to introduce the Culture Cool. They are a South Asian cultural center that serves over 400 students in 4 locations throughout across New Jersey. They provide education in Indian languages, performing arts, and culture. Today, you will experience a classical Indian dance form that is 5,000 years old and is performed by precise movements, sharp edges, and expressive body language that has entranced audiences for generations. Please welcome Culture Cool.
Tỷ tỷ dùng tất còn cái tất tỷ tỷ dùng tất còn cái tất tỷ giờ tỷ dùng tất còn cái tất tỷ giờ tỷ dùng giờ lắm tất cả cái tưởng còn đất còn cái tất tỷ đất tỷ cái tất còn đất còn cái tất tỷ đất tỷ cái tất đồng tích đồng tất tỷ 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 đồng tích đồng tất đến đây tỷ đồng tới đây tỷ đồng tới 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 đây còn cái tỷ đất tỷ cái còn đất còn cái tỷ đất tỷ cái còn tích đồng tất tỷ đồng 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 tích đồng tất tỷ
El
Oh, they're a hard act to follow too, right? Thank you again to Culture Cool. And they're so young. How long did that take to practice? Okay, so let's bring back Senator Bob Menendez to present our last two honorees.
Let me thank Culture Cool for what's an incredible performance. It was fantastic. Thank you all very much. We now have two organizations that we want to recognize. Before I do, I just want to, I think many of you met her in our reception before, but when my wife heard she had other things to do today, she heard we were going to have this event, she said, no, I'm coming. So Nadine, say hello to everybody. Often called the heart of healthcare, our nurses are far more than that. They tend to wound wounds, they administer life-saving care, and they work day in and day out to be there for those who need it the most. I, for one, know just how important nurses are. After I fell and fractured my shoulder last year, believe me, I appreciated nurses a great deal. So while I had tremendous physicians, it was the nurses who made sure that I was cared for on the path to recovery, and it made all the difference. 3 years ago, our nation's nurses were called upon in the most profound way when the first wave of COVID hit. A once-in-a-generation crisis sent the nursing profession into overdrive, trying and testing them in ways never thought possible. Our nurses were asked to put their lives on the line to save others. When we needed them the most, they answered the call. And our next honoree embodies this essential mission of service through and through. As an organization that works to give back to the Filipino community through humanitarian and socio-economic projects, the Philippines Nurses Association of New Jersey has been a leader in the nursing field. It's also been integral to the effort in launching a national Philippine Nurses Association. For this and all the work that they do to serve others, it's my honor to welcome to the stage the Philippine Nurses Association of New Jersey to present him with this year's Community Service Award. The more nurses, the better.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Tess Medina. I am the president of the Philippine Nurses Association of New Jersey. To Senator Menendez and your team that organized this wonderful event, recognizing the Asian American the AAPI, for our accomplishment. It is really heartwarming to be in this stage, and I am humbled to accept this, this award in honor of my organization. 3 years ago, it was a horrendous, there was this COVID-19 is, tested our mettle. As nurses, we showed up every day and did what we had to do. And I just want to let you know, of the 231 registered nurses who died of COVID-19, 31.5% of them are Filipino nurses. Because we showed up, we didn't, we have to be there. Regardless of whether we have resources or not, there are patients to be cared for. So, to my fellow members of the Philippine Association of New Jersey, they are the heroes, and we will forever be, indebted to Senator Menendez for the recognition. Thank you.
All right, I didn't know the mayor's wife is a nurse, so she got double duty. Thank you to all of our nurses and for your sacrifice as well. Thank you. Let's give them another round of applause. Our final honoree is an important one. It's often said that our collective future lies in the hands of our youth. When young leaders like our next honoree, I know that our future is in good hands. In 2017, when Brian John was a high school student in Bergen County, he resolved to turn pain into purpose, setting out to do something positive after a teacher was heard making anti-Korean remarks. The Korean American Youth Council, which later became the Asian American Youth Council, was Brian's way of answering the call. As a nonprofit organization, it is committed to embracing the diversity of all Asian Americans and uplifting their stories. Why? Because as a second-generation American himself, Brian understood and continues to understand the power of community. And it's why the Asian American Youth Council amplifies the voices of young Asian Americans, empowering them to express themselves and their culture freely, without prejudice, while breaking the cultural barriers they so often face. Through its work, the Council focuses on raising awareness about political rights and nurturing influential leaders, uniquely blending talent, passion, and liveliness to enrich American society and history through civic and educational action. It's my honor to welcome to the stage Brian John, who will accept the Youth Award on behalf of the Asian American Youth Council. I thought we had a lot of nurses. We have a lot of young people, which is great. Well, come on up. Get close together like you like it. Let's get behind the curtain. I want to see all those handsome, beautiful faces. Okay. We good?
Good afternoon. I'm Yu Chili and I'm a member of the Asian American Youth Council. As you heard, our council was founded in 2017 by our founder Brian John in response to a racially discriminatory incident at work in County Academy. Since then, we have worked hard to foster political activism and become a political voice in our community. Our foundation founding with the mission of becoming the bridge between mainstream political America and our community, and since has grown to over 100 representatives, and we are very proud of our work. Since our founding, our key achievements are successfully advocating for the mandatory incorporation of AAPI history in the New Jersey K-12 system. Getting the first national and annual Handbook Day proclaimed across several states, and also managing and accepting various support requests from politicians across the nation, including Senator Rod Menendez. It is a tremendous personal honor for me as an Asian American female to accept the Youth of the Year award on behalf of AAPI, especially because the Senator's personal work to incorporate the voices of the community are clearly heard with his sponsorship of the Senator 682 Asian bill and the co-sponsorship of resolutions 808 and 815 to our community. Actions such as these are proof that the Senator is equally devoted to our community and other racial minorities as well. And I am proud on behalf of AAIC to have been and will continue to support him. So thank you again, Senator, for recognizing all the work.
The future is bright. Back to our issue. Before I do, let me thank the Fort Lee Police Department for the security they've given us all here. We appreciate their service all the time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you again to everyone who came out today, and I want another round of applause for all our honorees, right? To Mayor Ontario, to the Filipino Nurses Association of New Jersey, and of course to the Asian American Youth Council, and thank you again to all our performances. You guys were wonderful, and thank you to Senator Bob Menendez